My first witness, Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, so Jesus teaches in the Gospel of John that the only true God is the Father. Who's that? The only true God is the Father.
For Muslims, there are many contradictions or conflict in the Bible, which has been one way to argue against the trustworthiness of the Bible. And such claim is based on John chapter 17 verse 3. Therefore, I would like everyone to read John chapter 17 verse 3. Therefore, are there such contradictions in the Bible? Let's try to learn. So, welcome guys to my channel. If you are new here, please do subscribe and share with your fellow being, and don't forget to leave your feedback in the comment section. So, now, this verse has been very common way for the Muslim to argue with Christians that Jesus himself confirmed that there is only one God. Is this really the case? So, let's try to find out. Context is key. Now, we know that Muslims would use Bible verses out of context to prove their point, since John chapter 17 verse 3 is a prayer from Jesus to the Father. Since this is a prayer, it is only natural for Jesus to refer God the Father separately. So, in that prayer, Jesus at starting point that both the Father and the Son be glorified. John chapter 17 verse 1 to 5. Now, next we see Jesus prays for his disciple. John chapter 17 verse 6 to 19. Now, then finally Jesus prays for all the believers, both current and the future. John chapter 17 verse 20 to 26. Let's try to focus, because these requests come at the time just earlier to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was ultimately betrayed by Judas and taken by Romans. The fact is that Jesus, the Son, God the Father, are shown or presented as a separate being is nothing new. So I think because the first time we listen or hear from God the Father in the New Testament is at the baptism of Jesus, where God says, "This is my Son, whom I love, with him I'm well pleased." Matthew chapter 3 verse 17. Distinction of person does not associate to a lack of oneness. Now, Jesus and the Father are one. Jesus claimed to be one with God, and that made his enemies furious. In John chapter 10 verse 30, Jesus states clearly, "I and the Father are one." The next verse, his Jewish opponent picked up the stone to stone him. John chapter 10 verse 31, Jesus' claim to be God amounted the wickedness in the eyes of Jewish leader. Now, Jesus goes on to ask them question, "Why then do you accuse me of wickedness? Because I said I am God, God's Son? Do not believe me unless I do the work of my Father. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I in the Father." John chapter 10 verse 36 to 38. Here, Jesus is challenging this Jewish leader to look at the miracles he had performed and come up with an explanations other than God, Jesus and God the Father are one. Jesus claimed to be and is fully God, though Jesus never said the exact word "I am God" in the passages of the Bible. That does not mean that he did not claim to be God. Right after speaking of the only true God in John chapter 17 verse 3, Jesus spoke of the glory that he had with God before the world began. Verse 5, John chapter 1 verse 1. Earlier, Jesus made the following statement to the religious leader who were resisting him. "Very truly I tell you, before Abraham was born, I am." John chapter 8 verse 58. Jesus' reference was to Exodus chapter 3 verse 14, when God revealed himself as "I am." In this statement, Jesus proved that he is God, the response of his enemies proved that his statement was heard loud and clear as they were attempting to stone him. And they said, "We are not stoning you for any good work, but for the wickedness, because you, mere a man, claim to be God." John chapter 10 verse 33. The only true God. John chapter 17 verse 3. This verse need to be read in the context to fully understand what Jesus was saying in this prayer. Otherwise, like this brother, everyone will be debunking Christianity. The difference is not between the Father and the Son, but between the Father and the world's false God and idols. Jesus is speaking with the Father who is in heaven while Jesus is on earth. The Jesus' statement that the Father is only true God should not be taken or should not be seen as controversial or uneven with the whole Bible or whole of the Bible, which sports the fact that Jesus Christ is God. And I hope you guys like this video. Please do subscribe and share with your fellow being. And don't forget to leave your feedback in the comment section, and many more episodes are coming up.